towards Gerrard. Hello. Here we go. Steven Gerrard puts a grain of doubt in the back of Milan minds and gives hope to all the many thousands of Liverpool fans.
Good afternoon, sport lovers. This is Sport Echoes on Melody 100.7 FM. On this show, we dive deep into stories behind the scores, the legends, the heartbreaks, the breakthroughs, and the unforgettable moments that shape sports as we know it today. And there's also the quiz segment where I ask questions, and if you get them, yes, you're going to win something. Alright, from Nigerian golden goals to Olympic shocks to African giants that shook the world stage, this show is your backstage pass to the past. I'm going to be bringing you facts, voices, memories, and maybe even a few chills as we relive the moment that made fans scream, nations proud, and history take note. So whether you're in traffic or at home or you're just chilling with your radio, I promise you this, after today, you will never see sports the same way again. Alright, I welcome you in the name of the chairman of Melody FM, Prophet Sam Adebayo Ojo Baba Authority. And also the general manager of Melody 100.7 FM, Eniola Afolabi, the sports marshal. The producer of this show is pretty the finest, Adigoki. And shout out to the guys taking care of DIZ, Daniel Adeyemi, Omo Iyaileso, who's the studio manager for today, and engineer Amos 33 doing justice to everything that has to do with the engineering right there. Alright, I'm Akinbobola. Egunfemi. Welcome aboard.
Listen, no misunderstanding. There's one fucking side of me that you haven't fucking seen, boys. Number one, wife, whether we play with 3, 4, 5, 6, it's my decision. And I take the responsibility if we lose and if we don't perform well. The second thing, Zach, last time I talked about your attitude, you come off and don't need a fucking smart attitude. That's perfect. You're a winner good, just like all the other one. I could have taken off from her to the last one. Without anyone complaining. Today, we deserve to lose anyway. We can be fucking happy with 95 minutes, we just wasted time. You wasted your time, I wasted my time. It was better not to come. It was better to send the other 21s.
You need to understand at one point, what's the goal? The goal is for that player or the team to perform tonight. So for example, if a player arrives late in the morning of the game, what do you do? And that's your go-to player. What do you do? So you're late for the breakfast or you're late for the team talk, you're not entering that room because you're late for the team talk, okay? We will explain to you what was supposed to happen or not, but I'm not going to punish you of not playing tonight. I need to win tonight. This is the difference between coaching and managing. Manage the situation. So if you manage that situation at that particular moment, why are you going to upset the best player of your team for not being on time for the... Understand me well. Back in the days, I wouldn't have accepted that. But when you're a coach, you need to analyze that you need to win tonight and not lose that player. So punish him for what he's late for, but don't punish him for not playing the game. A coach will not deviate to what they're about to make sure that the team can win. And the battle, the players is always going to win it.
So that was Vincent Kompany when he was the manager for that club in Belgium, Anderlecht, and also Thierry Henry. He was talking about the difference between coaching and managing. So today we're going to be talking about men and women behind the scenes, the thinkers, the planners, the disciplinarians, and the dreamers. Now the topic is architects of greatness, iconic managers in sports history. So the topic is architects of greatness, iconic managers in sports history. In sports, players are often the heroes. They score the winning goals, they lift the trophies, they break the records. But behind every great player, there is a manager who believed in them first. A manager who made the tough decision. A manager who dropped star players. And a manager who stayed awake at night replaying games in their head. Now think about it. The same group of players can fail under one coach and become champions under another. Why? Because management changes everything. Over the years, we've seen managers who didn't just win. They've changed how sport is played. For some of them, they ruled with iron discipline, some inspired with ideas, some also mastered psychology, others rewrote tactics completely. These managers built dynasties, they shaped generations, they turned ordinary teams into legends. So today on Sport Echoes, we will tell you some of their stories. Definitely, just because this show is 1 hour, we're just going to be taking out some of these managers, not everybody. So, in case, I'm not talking about one of your favorite managers, it's not my fault. We can't talk about everyone. But we'll definitely talk about some of the iconic managers in football, also in basketball. We'll take you back to the early days when some of these iconic managers were unknown, working small jobs, coaching minor teams. We'll explore how they rose to the top, what made them special, and why their influence is still felt today. Because definitely history is not just about what happened, it's about who made it happen.
One man who's been part of the tapestry of the history of this club has won 5 FA Cups, 4 League Cups, 10 Charity Community Shields, 1 European Cup Winners' Cup, 1 European Super Cup, 2 Champions League titles, Intercontinental Cup, 1 FIFA Club World Cup, and 13 Premier League titles. The impossible dream made possible by the greatest British manager ever, Sir Alex Ferguson.
Sir Alex Ferguson. When we talk about greatness in football management, there is one name that almost ends the debate before it begins. But long before the trophies, the statues, and the legend, there was a young Scottish coach with a fiery temper and a point to prove. So that clip I played for you, it was his journey throughout Manchester United. Ferguson's journey did not begin at Manchester United. He began in the lower leagues of the Scottish football. His first managerial job came at East Stirlingshire in Scotland, right there. And at that time, there were no resources. The resources were scarce and expectations were low. From there, he moved to Saint Mirren. This was his first real test, because at that time they were in the Scottish First League. At Saint Mirren, Ferguson showed signs of what was to come. Strict discipline, high standards, and zero tolerance for excuses. He won promotion with the club, but despite success, he was dismissed. Decision that later haunted the club. It was set back, but it shaped him. Then came the turning point in Aberdeen. At that time, Scottish football was controlled by 2 giants. Until now, it's still Celtic and Rangers. Breaking their dominance was almost unthinkable, but Ferguson did the unthinkable. He built a fearless Aberdeen side focused on youth, discipline, and tactical organization. Under Ferguson, Aberdeen won multiple Scottish League titles, domestic cups, and most impressively, a European Cup Winners' Cup. For the first time in decades, the club outside the old firm ruled Scotland. Suddenly, Europe was paying attention. So sometimes when I hear people say, oh, it was Manchester United that did Alex Ferguson that favor, they brought him into the club. That man has worked his ass. He made Aberdeen top of the Scottish League. We had 2 dominant figures there, Rangers Celtic at that time. So in 1986, Manchester United came calling. But what Ferguson walked into was not a winning machine. United were inconsistent unfocused and living in the shadow of rivals. The pressure was instant. Years passed without a league title. Fans grew restless. Media criticism was relentless. So by 1990, Ferguson was one game away from being sacked. And that game, an FA Cup tie. Luckily for Ferguson, United won that game, and that single victory changed football history forever. From that moment, Ferguson transformed Manchester United. He cleared out players who didn't meet his standards. No matter how famous they were, he cleared every player who didn't meet his standards. He rebuilt the club from the youth system upward. Then came the class of '92, where we have the likes of Ryan Giggs, Paul Scholes, Beckham, and Gary Neville. Became the foundation of an empire. Just to talk about the fact that Ferguson was one game away from being sacked, maybe that was truly his motivation, because I mean the pressure would have been there. That one game, if I miss it, I'm getting off. You know, sometimes you just need one moment to shake things up. A moment to challenge you, to bring the best out of you. And that was how Ferguson was able to make history for himself and also United. Not just United, Manchester United to be precise, because we have other Uniteds, we have Newcastle, a couple of other players, other teams in Europe or in even the Premier League. So that they won't think we are talking about that. We are talking about Manchester United and the legend Sir Alex Ferguson. That one moment changed Sir Alex Ferguson's career in United. I'm talking about the class of '92 that featured the likes of Ryan Giggs, Paul Scholes, Beckham, Neville. Became the foundation of an empire. Well, Ferguson's true genius was reinvention. When one team aged, he built another. When rivals rose, he adapted. When football changed, he evolved. Under Sir Alex Ferguson, Manchester United won 13 Premier League titles, 5 FA Cups, 2 UEFA Champions League, and a total of 38 major trophies. Yet his greatest achievement wasn't silverware. It was control. He controlled the dressing room. He controlled the club culture. He controlled the beliefs players feared him. 2 days ago, I listened to a podcast where Patrice Evra, I beg your pardon, was talking about the coach Sir Alex Ferguson. I mean, that fear all up to now is still there. He said when the boss come in, nobody talks. That's what they call total control. You don't force it, you earn it. It's that easy. The records are there. The players feared him, but they also trusted him completely. Taking one of his quotes right there for Ferguson, he said, "My job was to make every player better than they thought they could be." You can imagine a manager that wants every player to feel like they can be better than what they actually think they are. And that may be the clearest definition of a great manager. Sir Alex Ferguson didn't just manage players, he managed time, he outlasted rivals, he survived changes, he stayed relevant across 4 different football eras. And When he finally retired in 2013, manager Manchester United didn't just lose a manager, they lost an identity. Even till now, United are still struggling. From the post-era of Sir Alex Ferguson, managers flying left, right, and center, none of them can match the records of Sir Alex Ferguson. Sir Alex Ferguson improved something powerful. Great managers don't chase success, build legacy that time cannot erase. Build legacies that time cannot erase. That's what top managers do. Now, leaving Sir Alex Ferguson, one name that people might not be familiar with. So the name is Rinus Michels, the father of total football. So the name is Rinus Michels. He was known as the father of total football. Before football became fast, tactical, and position fluid, there was structure, and it was a rigid structure. Defenders defended, midfielders passed, and strikers scored. That was the rule. Not that right now we see some of these midfielders go on to score goals. Then the job of strikers were purely to score goals. You're not going to see midfielders doing the scoring, or you're not going to see defenders maybe running to the corner kicks to do headers and score goals. Majorly strikers were the ones scoring the goals. So that was the rule at that time. Until one man came along and rewrote football's blueprint. His name was Rinus Michels. Rinus Michels, he was not born into football royalty. He was not surrounded by global fame or superstar status. In fact, before coaching, Michels worked as a school teacher, and perhaps that explains everything, because Michels approached football like a classroom where players were students and tactics were the lessons. That was how he approached football. Players were the students and the tactics were lessons. For Michels, he took charge of Ajax Amsterdam in the 1960s. At that time, Ajax was talented but inconsistent. Michels saw something others didn't see. He believed players should not be locked into one room. He believed football should move like a living organism. And so he introduced a different concept of football called total football. Now, total football changed everything. Under Michels' philosophy, defenders could attack, attackers could defend, midfielders could control the space, every player could rotate position. If one player moved forward, another automatically covered. That's why in recent time, most especially when I play street football or Sunday football, let me use it like that. Let me use the word Sunday football. My coach would always tell me that every player is supposed to be able to play different positions. You're not supposed to be restricted to one position. Maybe when you get to professional level, well, I mean, at that time, you can have a fixed position. But for now, you're still playing street football. So, I mean, you should be able to defend, play midfield, and also strike. So that was the whole essence. I just tried to create a picture of what total football was all about. So if one player moved forward, another automatically covered. So in that process, football became fluid, unpredictable, and also intelligent. Opponents no longer knew who to mark, or because everyone could be everywhere. So in that essence, players, just because they rotate position, opponents could no longer they didn't know who to mark at that time because everyone could be everywhere. You know, when the defender switched position to the midfield and also the striker, coming back to also defend, even if you're on the opposing side, you would not even know who to mark. So that's the whole essence of total football. Now, to execute total football, Mikkels needed players who understood the game mentally. And in Ajax, he found the perfect student. The name of that student is Johan Cruyff. Johan Cruyff became the symbol of Mikkels' philosophy, a player who could control matches through intelligence and movement. Together, they transformed Ajax into a European powerhouse. Ajax began dominating club football with speed, tactical discipline, and creativity never seen before. And just for you to know that this man, Johan Cruyff, he won the Ballon d'Or. But Mikkels' influence extended beyond club football. He later took charge of the Netherlands national team. And this is where total football stunned the entire world. At the 1974 FIFA World Cup, the Dutch team mesmerized fans globally. They played football that looked almost perfect. Players rotated position effortlessly. The team pressed aggressively. The ball moved like choreography. Though the Netherlands finished as runner-up in that World Cup, that was in 1974, their style changed global football forever. Now, taking Mikkels' quotes, he one time said, "Football is war." You know, sometimes we all say, "Oh, football is fun. Let's play it." The way we always play Sunday night football is just play so that tomorrow we'll be able to come and play again. Don't enjoy yourself. But for Rinus Mikkels, he said, "Football is war." Serious. That was what he meant. But unlike traditional warfare, Mikkels' battles were fought with intelligence, movement, and teamwork. And his philosophy influenced generations of coaches, including Johan Cruyff and also Pep Guardiola. And this takes me straight to Pep Guardiola. So if Sir Alex Ferguson ruled football through power and longevity, then Pep Guardiola ruled it with true ideas. Pep Guardiola, he didn't arrive in management shouting, he arrived thinking. Though he's still the coach of Manchester City, but his legacy when it comes to managing clubs will not be taken off from football. That's why I decided to add Pep Guardiola in this one. For Pep's story, it began not on the touchline but in midfield. As a player for Barcelona in the early 1990s, Guardiola was the brain of the team. Now look at how it was passed from generation to generation. Under Rinus Mikkels, Johan Cruyff was a player under him. Under Johan Cruyff, a man who believed football was a form of art, Pep Guardiola played under Johan Cruyff. So you can say all of it started from the man that created total football straight to Johan Cruyff and through to Pep Guardiola, who is still dominating football all up till now. From Johan Cruyff, Pep learned something fundamental. Football is about space, movement, and intelligence. Even as a player, teammates recall that Pep was already a coach, constantly talking, directing, and organizing. After retiring, Guardiola didn't rush into fame. He quietly took charge of Barcelona B team. Barcelona B team. No glamour, no headlines, just learning. Then in 2008, Barcelona made a bold decision. They promoted Guardiola to the coach of the first team. They promoted Guardiola to coach the first team. At the time, many questioned the move. Pep had no top-level coaching experience. The dressing room was full of global superstars. But Pep Guardiola made one thing clear from day one: no one was bigger than the system. First major decision shocked football world. He let go of Ronaldinho, he let go of Deco. Two of the club's biggest names at that time. Instead, Guardiola built his team around Xavi, Iniesta, and Lionel Messi, who understood the game's mentality, not just physically. Guardiola introduced what we know as the tiki-taka football. Short passes, constant movement, and relentless pressing. Barcelona didn't just try to score, they tried to control time itself. Opponents chased shadows, the ball did the work. In his very first full season, Pep won La Liga, Copa del Rey, and the UEFA Champions League. Then came the historic moment: 6 trophies in a single calendar year. No club had ever done that before. Guardiola's greatness didn't end in Spain. At Bayern Munich, he refined pressing and positional play. And at Manchester City, it transformed English football. I mean, winning the Premier League back to back to back to back. I mean, it's not child's play. He turned fullbacks into midfielders, goalkeepers into playmakers. Ederson Morris of Manchester City. In one season, he had about 3 assists. And he also turned defenders into attackers. He had records: highest points total, most goals scored, longest winning streaks. And critics who once doubted him fell silent. And Guardiola once said, "I don't want my team to be predictable. I want them to be understood." That sentence defines him. Pep Guardiola didn't just win trophies, he changed how coaches think. He also influenced an entire generation of managers. That's the current generation of managers. Talking about one man that I call Pep Guardiola's cosmate. Not like the Ronaldo and Messi of the coaching style of football. I'm certain so many people, they know this man. Jose Mourinho. Special one and the power of the mind. Every era of football has a disruptor, a man who refuses to follow the script, a man who turns pressure into fuel. For modern football, that man is Jose Mourinho. Love him or hate him, you could never ignore him. See, I love that one so much. Always in the news. Always in the news. Even if he coaches a team in even the Serie B, is still going to make the news. Just recently, we saw what Benfica did to Real Madrid. They defeated them and qualified to the playoffs of the Champions League. Unlike many legendary managers, Mourinho was not a superstar player. In fact, his football journey began off the pitch as a translator, working under Sir Bobby Robson at Sporting Lisbon, Porto and Barcelona. For Mourinho, he listened, he learned, and he also observed. But while others heard words, Jose Mourinho studied behaviors. He learned tactics, he learned psychology, and he also learned how to control a room. By the time he stepped into management, he already understood the game from the inside out. For Mourinho, his breakthrough came at FC Porto in Portugal with limited resources and limited European respect. He built a team that believed they were unbeatable. In 2004, Porto stunned football world by winning the UEFA Champions League. That victory wasn't luck, it was preparation. After the final, Jose Mourinho stepped onto the world stage and declared, "Please, don't call me arrogant, but I am European champion." So that was when the name was coined, the special one, after he won the Champions League with Porto. At Chelsea Football Club, Mourinho turned belief into dominance. He built a team that was mentally tough, defensively organized, and fearless. Chelsea conceded just 15 goals in a league season, a record that still stands till now. Mourinho taught his players one thing above all else. He taught his players that one thing above all else against the world. You against the world. Then came Inter Milan. In 2010, Mourinho's Inter defeated Pep Guardiola's Barcelona, one of the greatest teams ever assembled. And then Inter went on to win the treble, the league, the cup, and also the UEFA Champions League. It was tactical discipline at its highest level. Not beautiful, it wasn't beautiful football, but it was ruthless football. Mourinho's success followed him across Europe, league titles in Portugal, England, Italy, Spain. And at Real Madrid, he broke Barcelona's dominance and set points record in La Liga. But with Mourinho's success always come with conflict. That's where, well, say Mourinho, that's where for me I feel like he doesn't get it right, because success will always come with conflict. Players clashed with him, clubs grew tired of his intensity, media battles followed him everywhere. But talking about the players that respect him so much, you see those Chelsea players, the likes of Mikel Obi, John Terry, Frank Lampard, my goodness, those players respect him so much. Should I call them legends? Because they are legends in their club football. Those legends respect the special one so much. What truly made Mourinho special wasn't just his tactics, it was mind control. He protected players by attacking referees, rivals, and the media. He removed pressure from the dressing room and placed it on himself. For a time, it worked brilliantly. For Jose Mourinho, he once said, "If you don't believe you are the best, you will never be the best." I think I use this one self, old body. If you don't believe you are the best, you will never be the best. Strong one, strong quotes from the special one. He's currently the coach of Benfica, still doing well for himself. not going to be all about football. There's one man, Phil Jackson. Phil Jackson's story doesn't begin with dominance. It begins with patience. For Phil Jackson, he was a coach in the NBA, the National Basketball Association. Before becoming one of the greatest coaches in sport history, Jackson was a role player in the NBA. He was not flashy. He wasn't a superstar. He observed everything. He also learned locker room dynamics. He learned ego. He learned the pressure. Those lessons would later define his greatness. For Phil Jackson, his breakthrough came in 1989 when he became the head coach of Chicago Bulls. At that time, the Bulls had the most talented player in basketball, known as Michael Jordan. But talent alone wasn't enough. The team kept falling short in the playoffs. For Jackson, he introduced a bold idea: basketball must be about team flow, not individual dominance. To do that, he implemented what we call the triangle offense. And the triangle offense emphasized spacing, ball movement, decision making, and trust. Every player became involved. No one stood still. For Jordan, he initially resisted, but once he embraced it, the Bulls became unstoppable. And the result, 6 NBA championships in the 1990s, and the creation of one of the greatest dynasties in sports history. After Chicago, Jackson moved to Los Angeles Lakers, and once again he faced a familiar challenge. This time it was Shaq O'Neal and Kobe Bryant. Late Kobe Bryant. Two dominant talents, two massive personalities. Most coaches fail to control them. Phil Jackson didn't control them, he understood them. Under his guidance, the Lakers won 3 straight championships, then 2 more in a later era. That brought Jackson's total to 11 NBA titles, the most by any coach in basketball history. That philosophy defined his career. I was taking his quote. He said, "The strength of a team is each individual member. The strength of each member is the team." I mean, so many quotes to hold. I mean, these are reflective quotes right there. Let's also talk about the local seed, or should I call it the Nigerian seed, not to exempt some of our top managers who have done well. The first man is Otto Gloria, the man who delivered Nigeria's first AFCON title. That was in 1980. At the heart of it, he was calm, he was a disciplined tactician. At the 1980 African Cup of Nations hosted in Lagos, Nigeria rose to the occasion, led by a fearless generation, including the late Christian Chukwu, Son Segun Odegbami, and Muda Lawal. The Super Eagles defeated Algeria 3-0 in the final. For the first time ever, Nigerians were champions of Africa. And also to talk about Stephen Keshi, was a former Super Eagles captain and also an AFCON winner as a player in 1994, a World Cup veteran, and also the 2013 African Cup of Nations. Keshi, he built a team based on unity, hunger, and discipline. No big egos, no shortcuts, just players ready to fight for the badge. Nigeria went on to win the tournament, defeating Burkina Faso in the final. Stephen Keshi became the second man in African history to win AFCON as both a player and a coach. All right, it's time for the quiz segment where I ask questions, and if you get them, you're going to win something. So the studio lines 070-2520-107, 070-2520-107. You can as well call 070-55-07-107. Hello. Hello. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Jeremy. I'm calling from Ibadan.
From Ibadan. Okay. So you want to jump straight onto the quiz segment?
Yeah.
Alright, so pick a number from 1 to 20.
Okay. Number 3.
Number 3. Okay, so who holds the record for the most goals in a single Premier League season? Which player holds the record for the most goals in a single Premier League season? Hello? Are you there? Hello?
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Brian from Ijebu.
Ibrahim from Ijebu. How are you doing today?
Fine, thank you. How are you?
Very fine, thank you. So, I mean, just before I head straight to the quiz segment, which one of those managers is your favorite?
Mourinho.
Mourinho, the special one.
Yes.
Okay, so pick a number from 1 to 20.
Number 1.
Number 1. Okay, so who has the most Premier League assists of all time?
Yankee.
Okay, so you're correct. You've been winning back to back. Congratulations. Hello.
Hello, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
My name is Jacob from Odifere Road.
Good afternoon, Mr. Jacob. How are you doing today?
Yes, sir. I'm doing great.
Which one of these managers do you love the most?
Shall we say what?
I said, which one of these managers do you love the most that I talked about today?
The one I love most is that of Ryan Gross of Netherlands.
Okay. Okay.
It's becoming a one-man show. One man, that controls everything and leads by example.
Yeah. Okay, that's really good. So pick a number from 1 to 20.
Okay, so I'll pick question number 1.
Okay, which goalkeeper has the most Premier League clean sheets? He's one of these legends.
Yes. The keeper was one with Chelsea.
Yes?
Yes, the name.
What's the name?
It was a Chelsea keeper.
Okay.
The name that
Okay, okay. Now. Okay.
Can you give me a
So,
sir?
you're correct. You're correct with the Chelsea goalkeeper. It was a former Chelsea goalkeeper.
Yes.
Okay, so the name is Peter Cech.
Thank you. It's the only one. Up to today, nobody has broken that record.
Okay,
Up
so
to today.
okay, so I mean, I will just give it as correct.
Right. Thank you very much.
All right.
I
Yes.
appreciate you. Thank you very much.
Yes.
This thing is that just fly in and fly out. That's why people fail exam. Not that they don't know the answer.
All right, sir. Yes, thank you. Sir. I'll read out my number.
Let's see by 3 p.m.
All right, sir. All right, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Hello.
Yeah.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
I'm Ibrahim, calling from Yanaja.
Ibrahim, how are you doing today?
Yes, I'm good.
Okay, so which one of these managers do you love the most?
Please come again with the names. I heard when you were doing commentary on Guardiola and the person that was not for me.
And the person that
Sir?
you said what? I didn't hear that.
When you are giving their profile, that Guardiola was the one that brought Tiki Taka, posting the bottom off.
Yeah.
I left the radio and went to the bedroom, so I just came back and met you on that.
Okay, okay. All right, so just pick a number from 1 to 20.
Okay, 7.
Number 7.
7.
Okay. I'm trying to... Which club has been relegated from the Premier League the most times?
Middlesbrough.
Not Middlesbrough. Another try. Another one.
Aston Villa.
No, it's Norwich. Norwich City.
Oh, shit. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Just like I said last week that there's going to be the Did You Know segment. I'm going to tell you something iconic about the game or sports. So today on Did You Know, so the red and yellow cards were inspired by traffic lights. That's quite shocking. After confusion during the 1966 World Cup, an English referee came up with the idea so players from any country could instantly understand decisions. So yellow was for caution and red for stop. And that was how it started, and it was introduced in the 1970 World Cup. So the yellow card and red card we see in football was inspired by the traffic lights. Hello.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Last
Abdulmalik from Ijebu.
Abdulmalik from Ijebu Igbo. You just called.
Yes.
Yeah, you called earlier and you got it.
No. I'm calling for the first time.
Oh, calling for the first time. I mean, it's nice to have you here.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so on this show, there's the regular things we say, the history, and we also give you, questions to answer. And if you get them, you're going to win something. So just pick a number from 1 to 20 because of our time.
Number 13.
Number 13. When was the Premier League founded? That's quite easy. Premier League.
1992.
Okay, so you're correct. Debut on the show and also winning. Isn't that nice? So I'll read out my number. All right, so it's time to go. Special thanks to Daniel Adeyemi and Omo Iyaleso for doing justice to DIZ. The producer of this show is Pretty the Finest, Adegoke. And the general manager of Melody 100.7 FM, Eniola Afolabi, the sports marshal. And to the chairman of Melody FM, Prophet Sam Adebayo Ojo, Baba Authority. Thank you so much for this platform. I do not take it for granted. So for the winners, 3 winners today, my number is 081 11 744 773. 081 11 744 773. Until later today, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. when I come your way again on Complete Sports. I'm Akinbobola. Egunfemi. Good afternoon.